Welcome to the Mindfulness of Singing, and I'm Denise, your sassy, spunky scientist.
And I'm Tony, your bubbly, big-hearted flower child.
Our podcast features practical tips and tools for a journey of transformation using the healing power of your voice.
Each podcast, we will delve into the mind, body, and spirit connection by interviewing inspirational guests, sharing personal stories, and discussing the most recent scientific research.
Tune in and join our community of mindful singers. So, Tony, tell us what we want to talk about today.
Well, what we want to talk about today is that if you happen to be joining us last week on our initial launch, we talked about an exciting adventure that Denise just couldn't wait to join me on. You see, I told her that we should do. Did you have something to say, Denise?
I was just going to say,
Oh,
I don't know if it's all that exciting. I think the only
okay.
person who thinks it's exciting is you. Our listeners aren't going to
Well,
think
that
it's
might be true.
exciting. And yeah.
Well, this adventure is the 5-day fasting mimicking diet. And we are now on day 4, and we have both survived, and we have no battle scars. And I have to say, I think this has probably been one of my easiest fast ever. And I'm at that point right now. Let's go climb Mount Everest. You know, there are dips and rise and fall in the cycle. And so, Denise, tell us where you are on day 4.
Mm-hmm. No, I have a lot of energy. I was thinking this morning, I was like, man, I'd like to go to the gym today. But, they warn you against that. So I was like, well, maybe I need to like temper that a little bit and take a nice long walk. Except it's raining cats and dogs here. So there's that. But, I won't say that it's been super easy, but it's not been like I thought it would be. Mostly because, they did do the science of giving you some food in your body, not sensing that you're having any nutrients. So your body doesn't know you've been feeding it a little bit. But um it's been uh easier than I thought it would be. I mean, I was hungry. Day 2 was probably maybe day 2 and into about 3.5, I was the hungriest I'd been. But then
Mm-hmm.
last night, I was like, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. And this morning is the first morning I woke up and went, well, I'm not hungry. I don't even have to eat the little bar or whatever. But I did. I'm trying to, me. I don't like rules, and so I will say that I have really struggled.
Have you cheated, Denise?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Well, yes, in that
fess up.
I have not cheated in the way of food. Like, that's not something I would do. But I have had some black coffee in the mornings. And this morning it tasted terrible to me, so I've had like 3 sips and threw it out. But but I have had some black coffee just in the morning, just a small, like 4-ounce cup. That's it. No cream. And see, and I'm a person who likes frothy, I like it like a latte or a cappuccino. And we have a little, a little coffee bar in our kitchen, and we have ways to do all of that.
Mhm.
And so my coffee is pretty decadent normally. So drinking it black, I was like, "Bleh." But I felt like I would have needed, because I am so addicted to caffeine, that I would have needed to kind of gradually come off of that. And if I do this again, I probably would gradually start coming off of it about a week before, so that I because I don't like the headaches that it gives me when I try to get off caffeine. They're pretty intense. So I didn't want that on top of everything else with the that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, well, that's a mild cheat. I mean, in the scheme of things. And
Yeah.
but our listeners might be wondering, why are we talking about a fasting mimicking diet? What does that have to do with the mindfulness of singing? Well, actually, it has a whole lot, because
Mhm.
our voice is our mind, body, and our spirit. And I'm really excited about a goal that I set for this specific fast and this journey, and it's happening, and I'm affirming that it's going to continue. And I've shared this with Denise, so I'll share it with all of you. That I true confession, and Denise is going to laugh and verify this.
I'm laughing already.
I'm not exactly the slowest eater on the planet.
Oh.
I would say that I don't always eat in a mindful fashion. And I've been fasting off and on for years and doing different things. The most I've ever gone is 6 days. And when you do a 6 day fast with no food whatsoever, just water, that first meal for me and for others, there's such a sense of gratitude and tasting and smelling and sensing every morsel that you're taking in. And you can't eat fast because your body, well, you'll get sick. It just doesn't work. And every time I've done a long fast, 72 days, 3 days, whatever, I always think, wow, this is so awesome. I'm eating so slow. This is going to continue. I just know it. And about 3 days later, it's gone. But so this time I thought, well, what if you change the way you do things? The way you do things will change. Take that in, you know? And I sent Denise
Wait,
some,
say that again. Say that again.
if you change the way you do things, the way you do things will change.
That's awesome.
So if my habit is to always eat fast, and I know that at the end of a fast, meaning eating speedy, if I eat quickly, at the end of a fast, I'm always eating slower and with more gratitude. What if I changed it around? If it's a fasting mimicking diet and you're still eating, but a very small amount, what if I started the fast by eating slowly? So I started a little bit before, a couple of days, kind of changing my diet, eating a little less, eating the fast bars that came with the program. And then for the past 4 days, every little snack, a tiny little bar, or our meal, which is just soup powders, I've set a timer and I've made the smallest amount of food last for 30 minutes. No reading, no TV, nothing other than really focusing on chewing every morsel. And what I've said, the mantra that I've said to myself is, this is the first bite of food I've had in 6 days. And that made me eat slower because I was changing the habit. So I'm hoping that this is a new trajectory for me and that this is the last fast that I have to say it only lasted for 2 days because I really have programmed myself during this fasting mimicking diet. Sorry that took so long, but for me, it could be life changing because it really is a mindful way of eating. And for me, during a fast, I get a lot of spiritual clarity and direction and insight and thought and meditation and more than just a body experience. And so I have to say, thank you, Denise, for joining me. Um, and I'm going to reap a lot of benefits. I really feel
Yep.
good about it.
Well, I was gonna say, I you don't need to thank me because it was your idea, and
Well, I'm thanking
I
you for
should I
joining.
should thank you for, telling me about it. You know, it's funny because we are very much yin and yang. We're super different, and, that's one of the reasons why our relationship works so well. But there are a couple things there. One is I'm a social eater. I tend to, if I'm gonna overeat or I'm gonna eat, more than I should, it's gonna be because I'm in a social setting. Um, and I get in trouble at the end of the day sitting down with my husband and us sharing something like crackers and cheese and a glass of wine. And you do that every night and it adds up. And while I wasn't doing this to lose weight, I really don't care about that. I'm pretty happy about where I am right now. But uh, and that should never be the most important thing to anyone anyway, unless you're unhealthy and you need to do it because you're, super unhealthy. But um, I was in it because I wanted the human growth hormone and I wanted the stem cells and that sort of thing. I think if I were going to do this again, I would want to do it in a retreat setting away from things because I still had to go to work. I still had other podcasts and things to do and and coaching the people that I coach. I had to do those things. And so life didn't get to slow down for me to make this about anything spiritual. Also, I am not super motivated by food. I really could care less about food. In that uh I don't wake up in the morning and think, what am I going to eat for lunch today or what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And I'm surrounded by people who are like that and they frustrate me. My husband is like that, my sister's like that, and you are like that. And it and it and it and it frustrates me because I don't even it makes me have to think ahead, and normally, I'm the person who has to do all the cooking and all the creating the food, so when I'm asked what's for lunch or what's for dinner, then pressure gets applied to me to think about that and to have to whatever. And normally, if it's just me, I just look in the refrigerator and go, what am I gonna eat today? Or what am I gonna eat at this meal without giving thought about dinner? I don't it doesn't enter my mind. I it for me, food is fuel and I've only had to go and medicine, right? But I've only done something fast wise. I mean, I fast every day. I'm a 16/8 faster on a normal basis. And I have to say that has hugely helped. So singers, listen to this. This has hugely helped with clarity of mind, memory, talk about needing to memorize music. My memory is like even my husband has um he commented, "Your memory is unbelievable." And I used to struggle with memory, really. And I think it has to do with the fasting that I've done and some other things, but that's a different, another day of a podcast. But the fasting, also the inflammation in my body has decreased. My digestive issues, pretty much nothing unless I eat something I know I shouldn't have eaten, but it was all that was offered to me, right? Like if I go out and eat at somebody's house and they have spaghetti, I'm not going to tell them I'm sorry, I can't eat that. I'm going to eat the spaghetti and suffer later. But that's just part of being a gracious, decent person. But what we call in the South good home training. I had some good home training. But I do think that, I could certainly see where the spiritual side of this would be really beneficial, and I'm, a little jealous of your experience of being able to do that, but it was just wasn't possible for me this time. So the next time I think we should retreat and
Absolutely.
do it. And maybe we'll have a little singers retreat and make that
There
part
you
of it.
go.
Hey,
That could
hey,
be a
hey.
very economical retreat. We don't even have to charge them for food, see? So budget-wise, I'm thinking there. But
Well,
actually,
we could get Prolon to
there you go.
send us the
Sponsor
food.
it or something. But, I think you hit on some key points. I am lucky, I am fortunate, and I think to have the spiritual aspect of a fast, you've got to isolate and not have your regular routine in order to spend more time in meditation and prayer and those kinds of things. And so I'm lucky for that. You also touched on a couple of other things that I think are relevant to fasting, and that's the social aspect. And normally, I have done one other time. I've done Prolon and I enjoyed it. That was about a year ago when I happened to be at my mother's house. But it is COVID and it's been a challenge for me because I've been
Yeah,
home all the time. I don't have
right.
a social network here where I'm living. So I'm eating my meals mainly by myself or with my
Mm,
mother. My
mhm.
mother and I are complete opposites. In fact, Denise, you'll appreciate this. I told her one day she could have a little chocolate snack, but she had to sit at the table for 30 minutes with me and eat a meal and make conversation. So um, yeah, I think when you are by yourself for all your meals, you get in the habit of you're not even setting a placemat. So I set china. I treated this food as if it was the most special meals every meal. And so that attitude of gratitude was there for the
Yeah, she
smallest of
took a
meals.
picture of her table, and I'll include it in this. I'll just put it in so you can
Yes.
see it. So here's the picture of her table. I was like, "Wow." That's awesome. That's great because yeah, no, our fasts were different. Well, so here's two different ways that you can do the fast. And don't, my husband asked me last night. He was like, "Are you going to ever do this again?" And it wasn't because I was complaining or anything. I think he just wanted to know if he was going to have to make his own meals for 5 days again anytime soon. Anyway, so, and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to do this once a quarter." I just like I give blood once a quarter. I'll give blood and then, get over that and then do the fast.
Right.
There's a
Uh,
reason for giving blood besides the, of course, the benefit, the community benefit, and we can talk about that at a different podcast too. But I think doing both of those once a quarter would be but I do need to put it around a time when I'm not, you know, so busy. But
right.
I was about to say, so this is a good example of how you can do that you can do the fast if you want to and still work because really and truly my energy was fine. I did not it did not wane. I don't know what tomorrow will be like, but it did not wane. I had really good energy. One day I walked 3 miles. That was day 2. I walked 3 miles. Yesterday, we walked about a mile and a half, something like that, but not because I didn't have the energy, but because, they were doing some construction and where we were trying to walk, it wasn't gonna work, so we gave up. But, um, but I have been able to, like, keep up with my steps. I've been able to oh, and by the way, my sleep has been unfreaking believable.
That's cool. And that's
My
not really always typical when you're fasting, but
So,
you're not
I wear
not
this Aura ring. Of course, I have some bling around it because that's who I am. But anyway, I wear this Aura ring and it tells me my heart rate variability, my resting heart rate. It tells me a lot of things. Body temperature, all that, but also tells me my deep sleep and my REM and light sleep and how many hours I got and the quality. And since the first day, so night I slept after the first day and every night since, my sleep quality has been at a score of 90.
that's awesome.
Isn't that
I'm jealous
amazing?
because that's not my experience because I'm a little more hungry. I eat more calories than you do generally, and
Yes,
I
she
feel I'm
does.
probably more calorie restricted. But compared to when I fast, complete fast, compared
Mhm.
to Prolon, oh, this is so much better as far as energy,
Yeah.
as far as hungry, as far as sleep. And I was going to say something a minute ago. Um, the reason I chose to do that this way is because I realized that even my intermittent fasting had suffered in this new environment. My whole world kind of got uprooted with the change in the world for everybody, not as extreme, but where I was living and what I was doing. And so when you're around access to food all the time and you're not having a daily routine, it was easy to just eat without being conscious. And so I thought, you know what? I'm not going to have the success that I would have with a regular fast. This would be a good time to do prolon. So I think you have to analyze who you are when you're fasting. Do you need to have some security like this if this is your first time? I wouldn't advise anybody, of course, to do a long term fast if you haven't even fasted for a few hours or 12 hours to
Yeah,
build up
and
to it. And
I
so
think so, and also if you have any underlying, yeah, or,
health
health
issue.
issues or things that you really check in with your doctor first before you do neither Tony and I are on any kind of medication or
Not
anything
at
like
all.
that, so
Yeah.
I didn't feel the need to check in, and I had fasted, in fact, about, maybe the beginning of the month or so, last month, I did a 24-hour fast, and it's those first just like in running, how you say the first 5 minutes is the hardest? Well, just like in fasting, the first day and a half is the hardest, and then once you get past that, you're golden. It's if you can do it for 24 to 36 hours, then the 5 days is nothing. You can do
Right.
it. Yeah.
S-
But anyway, so I would say that if we had this next guest that we're gonna have, that if you did a fast and you knew about this next technique that we're gonna talk about, it would really also help because you could do this next technique throughout your fast if you began
I
to start.
thought about that too. I thought about that too, and really work with your mind. So I guess we better wrap up. So I have one kind of closing thought.
Yeah.
Um, if you're intrigued and want to pursue fasting, or maybe you're already on the fasting bandwagon, that's great. And we encourage you, because we do really believe that will help your singing and help your whole
Mhm.
spirit, mind, and body,
Mhm.
or we wouldn't have it on this podcast. We really believe in it. But I sent Denise a quote, and I was telling her right before this, I can't remember the exact words, so I'm going to paraphrase it in Tony style. But the gist of it is that our nutrition that we take in isn't just the food that we eat. And so maybe for you, maybe you're in a health challenge that you simply can't fast and you're kind of thinking, oh, I feel left out. Well, you can fast. What in your life do you would help you to give up? Because we're taking in nourishment or lack of nourishment in the things that we see on all our senses, not just what we eat. Go ahead, Denise. I can see you've got a thought going there. Don't lose it. Oh, I thought you did. Um,
Mm-mm. No.
so be aware of your what are you eating? What are you chewing on that you need to spit out?
Well, so tell
Maybe.
us, Tony, who are we seeing today?
Well, we are lucky. We're going to get to meet Jenny Clift. She's an EFT tapping aficionado for musicians and stage performers. So I'm
Oh,
going
I
to
like
read just
that.
a little bit about her.
Okay.
She's classically trained. She's a classically trained violinist, and she's based in Madrid, Spain. And she has a beautiful website. You should check it out. Anyway, she's passionate about working with musicians, stage artists, and coaches from all over the world to help them achieve success, wealth, joy, and inner peace. Having experienced lots of stops and starts in her own musical career, Jenny feels strongly about helping others who've gone through similar things. Like, I think our listeners might be able to relate to some of these topics: experience with unsympathetic teachers, traumatic past lessons, auditions, and competitions, frustration over technical limitations and difficulties, struggles with confidence, self doubt, and lack of belief that you can succeed in this challenging industry, or just the normal blocks and anxiety around auditions, competitions, job scarcity, money, woes, performance, and stress. Her secret weapon is EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, also known as tapping. So take it away, Jenny.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for coming to us all the way from Spain.
Hi, Denise. Hi, Tony. It's really good to be here. Thanks for
What
inviting me.
what time is it there? It's 10 ish for us here. What time is it for you?
It's yeah, it's 4 in the afternoon here.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, so it's not
I've
too
just
late. We're
No,
not
it's not. I've just had a siesta, and so I'm good to go.
uh, I love that. Tell us where you are in Spain. What part?
Right in Madrid, so right in the center
Oh,
of Spain. I've been in here in Spain for a long time. Yeah, so
okay. Well, as soon
yeah,
as we can travel again, I'm coming to see you.
excellent.
Ah,
Look forward to it.
make that room for two.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
cool.
Okay. Yes. So, EFT, emotional freedom tapping. Tell us what in the world that is.
Okay, good question. Yeah, well, EFT is actually emotional freedom techniques,
Ah,
but you're right, it's known as tapping as well. And basically, it's an energy healing modality. It uses the same acupressure points that are used in acupuncture, but instead of using needles, basically what we do is we tap, hence the term tapping, with our fingers on these points. And in very basic EFT, we use about 9 different body points on our face and on our body. And while we're tapping, we are basically talking, and we're talking about what's bothering us. So, two things are going on. One is we're actually expressing what's upsetting us, and as musicians, and I'm a violinist, I'm not a singer, but I certainly know all about the kind of trials and tribulations of being a musician. As we're talking about what's going on, then at the same time we're tapping on these points, and it's now been seen scientifically. They've done a lot of studies, more than 100 studies, that it brings down stress levels, it brings down the stress hormone cortisol about 24%, which is huge apparently. And so you're starting to disconnect the kind of fight or flight reaction that you might have automatically. And so by doing this tapping, basically we're bringing down the stress. And it's called emotional freedom techniques because very often we're working with the emotions. We also work with beliefs, we work with thoughts, we work with a lot of physical stuff. And this year I've been working with a lot of singers. And oh my God, I thought violinists, I thought we had physical stuff going on, but singers, and of course, naturally, because it's your instrument is your body. And so there's so many things that we can do to kind of unblock what's going on in the body. And by using the tapping, we basically bring down the stress response. You kind of get to a place of disconnecting with this triggered reaction that you have to things. So that's kind of what we're doing when we're doing the tapping. Yeah.
Okay. How'd you get into it? What made you decide to do that?
I've always loved yoga, and I've always all kinds of things like that. I went to music college back in the day in London. I'm English, as you can tell from my voice. And
No.
no. Well, I
So pretty.
disguise it, I put my
That's
Spanish
beautiful.
accent on. Yeah. And but I went through, I got my diploma, my performance diploma, but then in fact I dropped out of college. My relationship with my violin teacher, he was a Hungarian, very stern, very strict. He was great with really top level people. But with me, and I had a lot of kind of technical problems and things like that, it just didn't work. And so basically after 3.5 years there, I dropped out basically. And I stopped playing the violin for about 8 years. And so it was a real kind of, now what do I do with my life moment? And I toyed with different things. Then I thought, okay, I'll travel and I'll do an English teaching course, And I came to Spain and then stayed here ever since. And so after I was in different parts of Spain, after about 8 years, I came to Madrid. And then I started thinking, and I hadn't played at all in that time and really didn't miss it. I was just didn't want to have anything to do with it. But then I found a new teacher and I got back into the violin and I started freelancing again. Actually, it's a funny story because the first job I did, my teacher worked in a local, the Madrid Community Orchestra here. And they were doing an opera, they were doing Rigoletto. And so he said, come, and they needed extras. So I did a month's contract with them. And so we were playing, we were in the pit, the orchestra playing away. And, I thought, oh God, it was fabulous. I mean, it's such amazing music. And, but there was one point in the second act, the tenor was singing and suddenly someone in the audience shouts, in Spanish, but shouts, the tenor's terrible, like this. And I remember sitting there going, oh my God,
gosh.
it was
Sounds like the
horrible.
clack in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was so extreme. And I sat there going, my heart pounding, thinking, oh my God, how's he ever going to live this down? How can he ever come back out on stage? And he did, and, carried on. But it just made such an impression on me, and I've often said, I think singers and musicians, I think we're some of the bravest people on the planet,
Yes.
because
Absolutely.
every time we're up there on stage or even just in a room playing or singing to someone, we're just putting ourselves on the line, and we identify so strongly with our voice, in my case with my instrument, with the music. It's just very demanding, who am I to do, everyone knows this. So that made a big impression. And then I kind of slid back into teaching, but teaching violin because of the money problem with freelancing, not getting a regular salary. I was doing a lot of work, but it's always this, will I have work next month, and that kind of feeling. And then I really wanted to get back to performing again. And that's when I discovered EFT. And I've been doing a lot of work with affirmations and, kind of Louise Hay kind of stuff, which I love, the body, you can heal your body and stuff like that. But I was in a rage. I was teaching, I was getting more and more furious with these little kids I was teaching who wouldn't practice and things.
Oh, Lord. Now you're talking my language.
Yes.
We don't know anything about that.
Not just the little kids, some of the big kids too.
Well, yeah. You're not kidding. So yeah, the first line in my book, because I wrote a book about it after I learned the EFT and everything, and the first line is, I've got to get out of here or I'm going to end up killing one of these 4-year-olds, you know. And so I got out of it. And so, yeah, I started learning this online with it, and I started working with a coach. And what I most loved about it was that I didn't have to say, you know, I'm basically positive, always positive affirmations. You know, with EFT, we talk about the negative. We talk about really what's really going on while
Right.
we're tapping. So, you know, and for me, it was just so refreshing being able to say, you know what, I am angry. I am disappointed. This is not what I want to be doing. But it's not just ranting, you're tapping at the same time. So,
Mhm.
and then from there, I started working with, after I'd written my book, I started working with people, and then I got a couple of certifications. One's an energy psychology certification, and then one was tapping into wealth, which is all the kind of money blocks that we have. And, you know, so many musicians and other people, you know, I think pretty much everyone on the planet has their form of money issues.
Yeah,
And
that was how I met you actually, Jenny,
yeah,
it
maybe
was
it
a
was
money it was the
Denise.
money block thing.
That's right, the break the glass ceiling workshop, yeah,
Yeah,
or
that
one
was
of
really
those, yeah.
great, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, fabulous. So, I mean, you know, money, when I did that certification, I kind of hesitated. I thought, oh, it's going to be really boring. Oh my God, it's amazing. You know, it's incredible. There is so much that goes on into your money paradigm and why you believe what you believe about money. And of course, as musicians, we have a lot of the starving artist kind of syndrome and stuff. So then I started, but I didn't start working with musicians really until the end of last year. And of course then it makes all the sense. And, you know, one thing I love about, because this is a body mind spirit technique, I love the fact that, you know, working with musicians, working with singers, they're so in touch with emotions, they're so in touch with their bodies. And so, because for me the hardest thing working with people is if people are just up in their head, you know, because I'd love to give you a kind of demonstration now, and you'll see, well, Denise, you know what this is all about.
Yeah, please, I love it.
Yeah. So if you like, I mean, I'll explain where the tapping points are and show you, and then we could do a little bit of a tapping round, and
Mhm.
maybe one of you could be my echo voice for the tapping round. You're gonna, because the best way with this technique is just to give it a try and feel how it feels for you. Okay, so I'll
Sounds
just
great.
yeah, good. So the tapping points that we use in basic EFT, they're about, as I said, I think, well, there are about 9 of them. We start on the side of the hand, so between, and these are all points which are, it's the Chinese medicine system of meridians, and they're all points which are end points of the meridians. And the first one, yeah, is the side of the hand, and we're just tapping there fairly lightly. I'm quite rough. My children say, you're very rough, mummy. But some people tap more gently, just whatever. You're stimulating the acupressure points, basically. So whatever feels right. And it doesn't matter. You can use either hand, whichever just is comfortable. It's not like yoga that you have to balance the two sides. Okay, we have the meridians on both sides of our bodies. And we start there. And in this first tapping point, we use what we call the setup phrase, which is even though, and then we have our, you know, what's going on. So for example, you know, right before I came on, I was thinking about singers and thinking about high notes, you know. So if you could maybe, you know, there's a high note that you're thinking about in maybe in one of your repertoires, and you're thinking, you know, I don't know, what's a really high note for a singer? An A or an F sharp, or no, F sharp maybe.
No.
Depends what you
Try a
are, doesn't
C.
it?
Try a
Okay,
C
C.
or a C
Okay,
sharp.
so,
Okay.
but I was an F
Mhm.
sharp above that C, Denise. No, but
Okay.
Ah,
Well, yes, that is
no.
high.
Okay,
that
no,
one.
no, no.
Mm.
All right,
That's
we'll go with a C.
queen of the night.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, all right.
Territory.
So you would say, for example, even though I'm terrified of that C, okay, and so you can make it so specific. It's amazing. And basically, when I work with people, I've talked to them, and they tell me what's going on, and they tell me, and we talk about what's the emotion you're feeling, where do you feel it in your body. So there's a lot of kind of feedback, and you talking before about biofeedback. You know, we're really in the body, and then we would start tapping there, even though I'm so afraid of this high C. I love and accept myself completely. And the idea is to put together the negative with a positive kind of, it's like giving a message to the brain, it's okay, you're safe, you're good, sort of thing, you know, because I think for me, so many times we get told, you know, oh, it's important to love yourself, accept yourself, and we just think, but how do I do that, you know? And especially you've just played or sung a concert and you didn't get that freaking high C, and you do not feel like loving and accepting yourself. But it's kind of, you know, even though I did it, I love and accept myself. And quite after a while of doing this, you can feel that kind of, okay, you know, kind of settling of the energy. And we do that 3 times, and then we start going around the points. So the first point is the eyebrow point, so the inside of the eyebrows. And we can use either side or both. So it's not the third eye, it's at the end of the eyebrow. Okay, hopefully there is a space there. And then the next one is at the side of the eye. Okay, so kind of the temple. And we're just tapping gently, don't hurt yourself, okay? And then under the eye, so on the bone, right below the pupil. And this is a good point. This is the end of the stomach meridian. And I like this point. If you're feeling a bit, I don't know, you've got butterflies or slightly nauseous feeling in your stomach, because it's the, tap there, or maybe before you go on stage or before a performance or something, use this point and just maybe breathe, or just say, you know, it's okay, you know, I'm safe now, or something like that. Remember, we're dealing with the fight or flight reaction of the body, and that's what we're focusing on. All right. So the next one is under the nose. And, you know, this is the point where I start to think, oh my God, I'm so used to this, it feels normal, but maybe people are going, oh, this is weird, but keep on, keep with me, give. And, you know, as a musician, I think, you know, this is nothing.
Yeah,
To do as
absolutely.
music. And the
That's
singers,
absolutely
you know, I
true.
mean,
Yeah.
this is,
Nothing.
yeah, piece of cake. Next one's under the mouth. So kind of the cleft of the chin. All right. The next one's the collarbone. Now, if you go from like the hollow in the middle, go out, and underneath the end of the collarbones, there's kind of a little hollow there. Sorry, move my
Mhm,
uh,
mhm, mhm.
things. And if you tap right there, maybe in a bit, Tony, I'm not sure. Right
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
Tony,
you can
come
feel
in,
that
come in,
dent.
Oh,
Come in.
in,
so you can
in.
see.
More, yeah, no, but in, yeah,
There.
I think it's about
Oh.
there. If you feel a dent there, that's right. That's
Mhm.
the hardest one to explain. Sometimes you see people with their fists there. It's kind of a Tarzan thing. And it, you know, in a funny way, well, not funny, but all of these points are natural points that we, you know, when we feel, oh my God, you know, or, you know, this kind of, when you've got a headache, you're doing this and everything, you'll start to notice they're points that we go to instinctively, you know. And this one, this whole Tarzan thing, it's stimulating the kind of thyroid around here. The next one's under the arm. So then you go just down below the armpit. You might feel a little bit of a sensitive spot there. If you do, tap there. Don't hurt yourself, but use that. You don't have to, all right? Different bodies do different things. And then finally, the top of the head. So right in the middle of the top of the head. And again, there might be a little sensitive spot there. Just use that. And then we carry on round the points. And basically, yeah, you're doing fabulously. Thank you. And basically what we do is when I'm working with someone, I will say, based on what we're working on, I'll say something I have, and my client or in a group, I ask someone to be the echo voice, will echo me back. All right. But everybody's tapping. And so and then start off, normally what I do is take a scale of 1 to 10. So, you know, how much, think about the high C, you know, how much anxiety does it produce? All right, so 1 is nothing, it's no problem. 10 is freaking out totally. And so, you know, and that gives us a baseline. And then we tap a few rounds. How are you feeling now? And very often people say things like, you know, I'm feeling just a little bit more detached from it. Or, you know, and after a bit of tapping, you know, say, you know what, whatever, you know, but anything goes. You know, I often say to my clients, you know, if it hasn't, or if it's got worse, just tell me, we can tap on it, sort of thing. So it's very forgiving, the whole process. There's no sort of right or wrong about it. And yeah, so the idea I had was to maybe do a little, how are we doing for time, Denise? I'm not sure what the time
Oh,
is.
you're good. You're fine.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I thought we could just do very short exercise, which is, and this is actually focusing more on the physical aspect, because I've used, oh my goodness, the one thing about EFT and tapping is that the guy who kind of developed it back in the 1990s, he was an engineer actually called Gary Craig, and he used to say, try it on anything. And the beauty of it, because of the setup phrase, you can really say anything you like in there. You know, you can say, even though I shouted at my daughter this morning, you know, or even though I'm terrified about this concert next week, or even though I haven't prepared my repertoire, you know, anything you like. And then we go with what's coming up for us. So, and I've used it with people for, you know, practicing. So, you know, even though I'm not feeling motivated to practice these days, that's true for me, or audition preparation and stage fright and things like that, all the kind of limiting beliefs that we come up with, you know, I'm not good enough, there's not enough jobs, or there's not enough, or, you know, and who will want to listen to me, this kind of, all these things we say to ourselves. I use it a lot for clearing traumatic memories as well. You know, I did a lot of tapping on that teacher who, you know, and now I can just talk about it as if he's just anyone, you know, whereas it used to be terribly triggering for me to talk about him. He was like the devil incarnate. And then after a while, I sort of, you know, he really was doing the best he could. A pity that he couldn't do better, but, you know, there we go. He probably feels the same about me, you know. And then I used it for injury and for, you know, so you can definitely tap on if you've, I don't know, if you've hurt yourself. With singers, oh my goodness, the things we've tapped on, you know, the diaphragm and the throat, you
Oh,
know, my
yeah.
throat feels tight and stuff. And then, you know, even technique, I did tapping on my bow arm as a violinist, you know, so it was kind of too low. And I remember doing a tapping round with my tapping coach back in the day, and you know, even though my bow arm won't stay up, and then after that it was just sorted. We went into kind of feeling vulnerable, you know, they might take a shot at me kind of thing. And it's amazing how even the physical stuff is so, well, you know, I'm talking to people who know, you know, the physical stuff is so much going on emotionally, energetically. It's all connected, obviously. So I thought today we could just do a very quick demonstration, if you like, about, and by using our breath. Okay, so if that sounds okay.
That sounds
So
great.
You
what,
bet.
yeah.
You bet.
So what I suggest you do, right, just sitting comfortably, all right, and just, yep, just relaxed. And what I want you to do in a second, I'll say when, is just take a very deep breath in, and then hold it a second and let it go. And just, yeah, just do that. So the deepest breath you can right now, okay? And let it go, okay? And I want you just to, on a scale of 1 to 10, just kind of, I know it's very subjective and that's fine, just decide, 1 being not breathing at all, and 10 the biggest, deepest, fullest breath you've ever taken in your life, about where were you, okay? And just, I don't know, either note it down where you might be, just that number, or just remember it in your heads, okay? Okay. And now we're going to do some tapping. All right. So what I'm going to do is first what we call a negative round. So I'm going to kind of focus on the limitations, and then we'll take a pause, and then we'll do a positive round. Okay. So Denise, are you okay to be my echo voice? Does
Sure.
that work?
Hmm.
And Tony, I don't know if it's maybe if you turn off your mic, just, sorry to be bossy here, but
No,
just so
no.
that we don't have a kind of I don't know, is that possible?
Yeah,
Unmute
she
Uh,
can
yourself.
she
Yeah,
can
I
mute
can
it.
mute myself.
just for the recording, but otherwise it sounds a bit like a cult. So here we go. Are you there? Right, Denise, let's go. Well, but everyone tapping, and I really suggest that people who are watching this do it too and just get a feel for it, okay? So even though I can't breathe any deeper than that right now,
Even though I can't breathe any deeper than that right now,
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
I'm sorry, just one thing I want to say about that is that I don't always say I love and accept myself completely. It really depends on the person I'm working with. Some people do not want to say that. And as I get to know them more, then they're happy to. But, so we can vary, we can change that up. Say, I accept myself the way I am, or I'm safe right now. You can imagine this is used. This technique is used with veterans in America. It's been
Mm-hmm.
approved by the Veterans Association. So you can imagine, I love and accept myself completely with this, hardened veteran. So maybe you would just say, I'm safe now or something like that. All right. So that was just a bit more about them. But right now, Denise, I reckon you're okay with loving and accepting
I
yourself.
absolutely am okay with that.
You've done the work.
I have.
So even though
Even
I
though
can't breathe any deeper,
even though I can't breathe any deeper,
I love and honor myself completely.
I love and honor myself completely.
Even though that's the limit to how much I can breathe right now.
Even though that's the limit to how much I can breathe right now.
I can't open my lungs anymore.
I can't open my lungs anymore.
And even though that's as deep as I can breathe.
Even though that's as deep as I can breathe.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Okay, we'll go around the points, okay? I can't breathe any deeper.
I can't breathe any deeper.
My lungs won't open anymore.
My lungs won't open anymore.
My diaphragm is constricted.
My diaphragm is constricted.
My ribs won't relax any more than that.
My ribs won't relax any more than that.
Mm-hmm. That's as far as I can go.
That's as far as I can go.
That's my complete capacity right now.
That's my complete capacity right now.
Mm-hmm. I can't breathe any deeper than that.
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 Okay, and that's one round, okay? And that's, as you can see, focusing on the I can't and the restrictions and everything. Now I want to do just one more round and then we'll try it out. So just start at the eyebrow point here, all right? I choose to allow myself to relax.
I choose to allow myself to relax.
I'm allowing every cell to feel expansive.
I'm allowing every cell to feel expansive.
Relaxing my lungs.
Relaxing my lungs.
Relaxing my whole rib cage.
Relaxing my whole rib cage.
I can feel my throat relaxed.
I can feel my throat relaxed.
Mm-hmm. I can feel expansive.
I can feel expansive.
And how easy my breathing feels right now.
And how easy my breathing feels right now.
And that feels really good.
And that feels really good.
I choose to feel really good about myself.
I choose to feel really good about myself.
I'm remembering every time.
I'm remembering every time.
That I've taken a really deep breath.
That I've taken a really deep breath.
And it's felt really good.
And it felt really good.
And expansive.
And expansive.
And joyful.
And joyful.
I'm allowing myself to relax.
I'm allowing myself to relax.
And breathe deeply.
And breathe deeply.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now, just once again, just empty the air out of your lungs and then just take another deep breath. And then I'll ask you for some feedback, all right? Okay, so did that feel any different? If you look at the number that you had before, was there any change, maybe to the number or how it felt? Let me know what you think, Denise and Tony as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was bigger, deeper, more. I was definitely more relaxed than I was the first time, for sure. What about you, Tony?
I would agree with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's such a simple exercise and it's just kind of, and of course, people say, oh, no, but it's just the talking. But, as I say, it has been shown that it does bring down the fight and flight as well. And tapping is doing something as well. All right. And so it just shows you very quickly how quickly, how the mind-body connection and how talking and doing this tapping is making a difference. And you can imagine right before a concert or something, or a performance, using this. I mean, if you're feeling nervous, don't, the expression, I don't know if you've, yeah, I'm sure you know the expression, what you resist persists. And I remember before performances, especially when I was little, going into an exam or something, really feeling nervous and saying to teachers, what do I do? I'm really nervous. And with the violin, oh my God, it messes things up big time. The bow shakes and it's just such a horrible feeling. And being told, breathe deeply and things like that. But what we do with EFT is we don't avoid what's going on. So, and because we're not resisting it. So we might be actually tapping on, these butterflies in my stomach. I'm so nervous right now. I just feel horrible. I hate this pounding in my heart. It just feels so bad. And I'm just going to mess up. I absolutely know this is going to be terrible. Oh, it was so bad. But, oh, I remember the last performance. It was so awful. So, really, you can really go for it. And you'll find that doing it while you're tapping and keep on going, you will get to a point where it just starts. It's very cathartic for starters, being able to say it out loud, you will find that the emotions start to dissipate, and even the physical symptoms as well. I mean, it may not go down to zero, but really it brings down these kind of fight or flight reactions that we have. So,
Yeah, I can definitely see how this would be very beneficial to singers who really struggle with performance anxiety or have, maybe some self-esteem or some issues with comparing
oh yeah,
themselves to the other people in their program or other people they know or and certainly adult singers who are trying to make a living and struggling with that and feeling, pretty vulnerable and like maybe they need to change their career. I think every singer goes through that when they step out and try to do, freelance singing
yeah,
or be a musician freelance. You have these great ebb and flow. And when it's not flowing and you're in the middle of a huge
Drought.
and you're,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
considering waiting tables or whatever it is you're
uh,
considering doing. I mean, it
totally.
really messes with your self-esteem and your head and your opinion of your own talent. It's pretty
Mm,
brutal. And
mm.
you're right, Jenny. Singers, musicians are some of the bravest, most courageous people I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think about, yeah, standing in front of an audition panel, and that idea of, oh God, of course they're going to judge you, and you feel judged, but you don't just feel, then it feels like they're judging you as well, not just your voice or it's such a part of us. And I mean, and so, yeah, and the whole self-confidence thing, I mean, it's absolutely huge, and self-esteem, as you say, and it changes how we perform so much, so yeah, so, and this is it goes there very directly. I find working with people, and there's often a lot of emotion comes out, which actually feels very cathartic and very people often say to me, oh my God, I've never said that out loud, and I go to places where they wouldn't go on their own because it doesn't feel safe, and so we'll talk right at it, and but we're tapping and they're in a safe place, so it's very, yeah, it's a very healing technique as well. So yeah.
I'm sure our listeners can see the value. And since I didn't know you, Jenny, I spent a little time on your beautiful website,
Oh, thank
and you
you,
have a
Jenny.
lovely offer that our listeners might want to hear about.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. My website is, just because it's not my name, although I think if you put Jenny Clift Coaching in there, it would come up. It's A Better Life Tapping. And there, if you go there, or if you're, yeah, or get in touch with me, I can give you my contact details, of course. I offer people a 30-minute session to show you how to tap, and to tap on something with you. And this is something I love about this. It's not that we spend first an hour talking about things, and then maybe 2 sessions down the road we start to get into things. We're tapping you right in there and talking about, and it's so client centered, you know, it's whatever is going on for you right then. And sometimes it's something that happened that morning, and sometimes it's something that happened 30 years ago, and sometimes it's something that hasn't even happened yet, you know. So you know, it's very versatile. And yeah, and I love showing people how to tap. My kind of mission, if you like, is to get EFT out to as many musicians and singers as possible, because it's being used now for sports people, you know, Olympic. There's a YouTube video, someone on YouTube, a baseball player, I think it is, he's kind of tapping, and there's the two commentators going, what's he doing? It looks like feng shui for the face, sort of. Oh, really? But yeah, no, it's hilarious. So, you
That's
know, but
funny.
there's that idea that, you know, in sports, it's obvious you have a coach, you have these kind of techniques which give you an edge. And that's
Mhm.
what we need in this
Mhm.
profession as well, you know.
Mhm.
So I think of it as
Yes.
my secret weapon. So yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Tony, do
Yes.
you have another question?
Well, of course I do, Denise. I have two. You've
Excellent.
teased us and you've hinted, but you've never told us the title of your book. What's your book
Oh
about?
yes. Oh yes. My book. It's called The Music Inside. And yeah, which is, I love, it's from, that title is from a quote by Benjamin Disraeli, I think. Oh yeah, called which is, you know, too many people die with their music still inside, you know. So it's quite a kind of a serious title, but it's such a beautiful title. So The Music Inside. And it really was my journey up to then, how I discovered EFT. And then there's kind of other ideas, you know, the whole ideas of all the limiting beliefs that we have around as performers, as people, let's face it, you know. Everyone's got the same kind of things, you know. And so yeah, that's my book. And it's there on my website and on Amazon as well. So yeah.
Oh, well,
Awesome.
okay. It is on Amazon. I love that. All right.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, yeah.
So I have one last question.
Brilliant.
Obviously, I wouldn't want you to divulge anybody's name or specific details, but
Oh,
could you share with us a story of one of your clients, a specific singer, something transformational that you helped them with in using EFT?
yeah, absolutely. Um, I, well, for example, this, and you know, I've focused on thinking about a singer that I was working with, a singer earlier in the summer, and she had several auditions coming up to do a master's program, and she was really nervous about that. And we did several sessions, but kind of just short sessions. And basically, well, often what I always do in sessions with people is that I record, and not usually the video, I record the audio. And quite often I do it like in little bits, so they then have tapping rounds to use right before. So, you know, so we did this tapping round about, you know, her nerves before, right before going in, and the kind of feelings of, you know, they're going to be judging me, and I'm so. And she wrote to me after that, the one of the auditions, and just said, you know, it was such a different experience, that she'd been really calm, really, you know, that feeling of, I did, whether you get the actual thing or not, that you did yourself justice. You know, that's just kind of the worst feeling, especially you've been studying, then you just go, oh my God, I know I can do so much better than that. So it was a good feeling of, you know, and she was really, really so calm after it and during it and everything. And so getting to that place. And then, you know, I've worked with people, one guy, in fact, not a musician, but a guy who, he was having terrible panic attacks in driving because of something that had happened in his past. And we did some tapping, and, you know, just, he lives here in Madrid, and he just wouldn't drive in the daytime. And it was really messing his job, because he had to come into Madrid, and he really went for it. That week he started tapping on his own and everything. And after just a few sessions, he was just normal again with driving and everything. And it's, you know, and sort of saying, you know, it's just, it can be that dramatic and just change your life, you know, sort of thing. So yeah. And yeah,
That's
it's
fantastic.
Yes,
yeah,
it
it is,
is.
it's a great tool, it really is. Yeah.
I love it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Mm.
Well, okay. Thank you so much for sharing with our
Thank you.
listeners, and we so hope that maybe some of them will reach out to you for your 30-minute offer. That's
That would
great.
be
When does that
fabulous.
start?
Absolutely.
Whenever it's there on my,
Oh, I see. It's
that's
ongoing.
kind of,
Yeah.
it's ongoing. Yeah, because, so many people don't know about tapping. And so just to come chat to me and I'll show you how to do it. And we do a couple of tapping rounds and stuff. So yeah, no, that's just a kind of, a way of getting it out there to different people. So,
All
yeah.
right, great.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jenny.
My pleasure. Thank
Thank
you
Enjoy
both.
you.
the rest of your day.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Be
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you so much for listening. We are very grateful that you joined us today.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe, write a review, share it with a friend.